Okay.
Hit 'em.
Okay.
Hit it again.
Welcome back to the PhaseTwo podcast, the podcast where we invite guests on and they listen to me and my brother talk.
I'm a great listener. So.
We had a hiatus because of a crazy snowstorm and the holidays. Now, me and my wife were talking this morning over breakfast. Do you think, because it's global warming, but now we're having this cold snap. Do you think the COVID, with less, we've seen crazy weather this year because, everything got shut down. So we had clear skies in Seoul, a lot less carbon being released into the atmosphere. Do you think the cold is like a rebound from that, or do you think it's just like a natural cycle going on?
Welcome to Breitbart Conspiracy Theories.
Wait, so are you saying that our guest today, Danny Chun, is part of this cold front coming into Korea? Or is he part of the carbon that's being released into the environment?
Okay, so everybody, I'm just going to continue introducing the podcast. No one wanted that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we have a very special guest, very different from our other guests, Danny Chun, straight in from LA, flew in for the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
our budget's getting, our budget is increasing.
Listen, your people contacted my people,
Yes.
and just things got working, and budgets got higher. And I'm just proud to hear. I'm just proud to be here to represent the civilians, all right, the normal people, the
civilians.
non-celebrities that you guys have every day. in your
It's
podcast.
nice for you to come down from your mansion to represent civilians.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The two-story Dorito bag. Yeah, no. I actually think
two
that
stories in Dorito?
Yeah, 2 story. That's right. I think you guys are in for a treat today because you guys never talk to normal people like me. It's always the celebrities, the athletes, right? And I'm here to just represent the commoners. The people that do the dirty work behind the scenes. All right.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
This is more of an interrogation than an interview. So,
Well, Danny, honestly, thank you so much for coming, for giving us your time. I know you're busy out here, doing a whole myriad of things. Sounds like you just came out here for a little bit of vacation, but it sounds like you're working more than you were when you were back home.
I'm just running away from COVID in LA. As you guys have heard, we're
I have been hearing specifically about California.
Specifically about California, about LA. People are sharing crazy stats right now, but it's just, when I look back at it, I think it was the best decision to really come out here, even though I came out for personal reasons and other sort of business exploration reasons. But, I got to meet you guys. This is a dream come true. I've dreamt about this since I was born. No, but seriously, I'm really happy to be here. I'm honored because I think about the opportunity to talk with you guys, and I got to know you guys here in the last couple months.
Right.
And you guys are, I think, legends here in Korea. Everywhere we go, they stop you guys, ask for pictures, autographs.
Oh, Danny.
No, I'm serious. I don't know. I don't know if the audience knows
earlier?
how big you guys are or how well known you guys are. Because in America, actually, it's a small world, right? Because I told some of my friends who I ball with, I was like, hey, there's these 2 brothers out here that played KBL and played. Professionally in Korea. They're like, oh, the Seattle brothers. It's like, you guys are known out in LA too, so you guys have a bit of a following, more than the 35 people you have following this podcast.
If we can get those 2 people to start subscribing and just get the word out.
That's right.
Wait, do you know those 2 people?
Yeah.
I need their numbers.
Friend of a friend of a friend.
You have a LinkedIn?
Well, so hold on. So before we dive into all this other stuff that's going on, why don't you give our listeners a little intro, where you're from,
okay,
your background. You're Korean, right?
Yes, I'm Korean. Yep, I'm Korean American. Actually, I was born in South America, so I'm Korean Latino. All right.
Whoa,
so you guys
arriba.
know. That's right. Let's not get racist here. No, but we met through mutual friends, obviously, out here because you guys are doing the podcast and whatnot. But further, as we kind of talked more, we knew we had a mutual love for motorcycles.
Right.
And then we talked a little bit more. We got into what you guys are doing with your real estate investment projects, right? Which is awesome, right? I can't believe you guys are doing all of that all the way from Korea, but I guess that's sort of what we can do now, right?
Yeah.
So we're just here talking about that. And, my background is I've always been more in the corporate world, worked for an investment bank, corporate bank, and even tried some acting along the way.
Wow, Hollywood or in Korea?
Oh no, it was like small time theater, but we'll call it.
That's cool. That's cool. Man.
No one knows me, so yeah, big time Hollywood. No, actually, it was like around 02, 03 where I left my first stint in corporate, And I was thinking, dude, I'm in LA. Might as well give this thing a shot.
Yeah.
And so John Kim, your good friend, he also encouraged me and inspired me at that time because he was a full-fledged actor. And so I went on a bunch of auditions and ended up actually traveling with a theater company for about a year and doing different commercials and whatnot. And I loved it until, all the money ran out. So back to corporate I went.
Yeah.
But, in the past couple of years, I sort of had maybe a moment, you can call it midlife crisis or whatnot, but actually it was brewing for many years. And I read a lot of books and really listened to a lot of podcasts, talking about really, seizing the sort of motivations you have inside of you. If you bored at work, if you're not feeling any motivations there, maybe it's a signal that there's another calling for your life. And so that's sort of when I made a full jump into really taking the real estate investment pursuit seriously and as a full-time venture.
So it's like, okay, so you're working corporate, right? And a lot of people have gone that route. My brother went that route. He worked for a bank in Seattle for a while.
Was in a bank, yeah.
And I think a lot of people, no matter what job or field you're in, you start feeling like a little restlessness, right? And you start feeling, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I've done this long enough. Maybe I need to change. But not everyone acts on those feelings and then actually does a change. So what motivated you to actually take that next step and be like, you know what? I'm feeling this way. I want to do something different.
Yeah, I think it was really more of an existential question. And I think, obviously everyone's built differently, right? And even now, being out here, meeting guys like Bobby and Danny and Eugene, all these guys that have come from America over here, they had probably asked the same question, right? And you guys as well. You guys at some point, you could have gone pro in the US or really continued pursuing that route, but you guys made that decision, say, hey, what's best for me at that moment in time is to try to explore this opportunity abroad. And not everyone takes those risks, those decisions, right? Makes those hard decisions. And, I think that's something that's all just an individual decision that you have to come to. I still have a lot of friends that are in corporate that hate it and that are just, they can't sort of leave what they call the golden handcuffs, right?
Yeah.
Where you've got a
suckling at the teeth. It's nice, but it's
you've got a really nice salary, and like sad stories like Tony Hsieh, right, the founder of Zappos, who unfortunately passed this past year. Just remind you, this money is really not anything. And I think once you lose the pursuit of really having an impact or really driving towards your passions, then you do lose a lot of motivation and can kind of veer into the wrong direction. So for me, rather than money or pursuit of money, it was really, what can I do to leave a legacy, and not in a form of like, I want to be known, but more for what did I do in life that I could donate or that I could contribute to the society to make it better. So that was kind of the existential question I had, and really further.
But these are questions that you always kind of had, or this kind of just came out of nowhere?
I think while you're in your career, whether it's in banking or wherever it is, in the beginning or maybe midstream, you're learning a lot, you're challenged, and you continue to pursue it and really evolve and improve yourself. But at some point, you might hit a ceiling, because I think in those moments, it's no longer about improving yourself, but you really ask, what am I doing? Whose lives am I improving? Yeah. Am I just kind of bettering myself at this point, or trying to, have solely gain for myself, or how am I impacting others? And if your heart and your, mind is set on really wanting to help others, then you might just find a different, path to go on.
Yeah, I think for me too, a lot of it's about personal growth. So anytime you're learning something new, like when you just get into your job or whatever you're doing, there's a lot of growth. There's a learning curve, and you're trying to get up to speed, and it's exciting, and you're learning how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times when you get to like the top, more senior positions, there's not a lot more to learn. You're pretty much an expert in your field, and now it's just you just wait, and your salary keeps growing a little bit. You know, you make deals and stuff, but a lot of the big excitement of that huge growth is you got to kind of like find different outlets for that, maybe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's what you make of it, right? I mean, there's plenty of people out in, having a career as an employee of a company that love what they do, or if not what they love, they love their family and they love the balance of life and the security of having that income so that they can spend their time elsewhere, right? So it's an individual preference.
Like I saw a post by Carmelo Anthony last night, right? And I've always been a fan of his game. And then after he left and started bouncing around, I was really hoping that he'd figure it out and kind of turn things around. But it looked like the game had passed him. It looks like he didn't want to adjust. But he still had the fire because you're watching all the stuff where he's out there in the gym just working just as hard as ever, right? And then he posted something yesterday that said, it's not work if you love what you do, right? So it's like, even if he would have never gotten another NBA job, he'd probably still be in the gym doing that, right? And so like, you see someone like that who, I mean, he's made tons and tons of money in his career. He's got like mansions, whatever he wants, right? But he's still in there grinding out like he doesn't have anything. So you see someone who's got that kind of passion, you're like, dude, he's doing the right thing. He's doing what he loves, you know? And everyone, I think, at some level is searching for that. Like these guys like Carmelo Anthony found it, you know? Obviously, like you were searching, you went through the corporate route, and then now you've gone like into real estate in this way. And it seems like you're obviously like figuring that out yourself too, or is this the final thing, or do you think it's a progression?
No, I think it's always an evolution, right? Work is work, but it's what you have sort of your vision set on, right? What's your mission in life? And I think at some point, I'm always careful about recalibrating continually, and actually these days is weekly, to make sure that I'm still on the path of what I set out as my vision statement, right? And so it can veer very quickly. Like there's so many shiny objects out there, right? And people can make money so many different ways. And like, oh, there's this, amazing thing called Bitcoin.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
What is this Bitcoin?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm intrigued.
It's like zeros and ones and stuff like that. Yeah. So you can easily get distracted and kind of pulled in different ways. And I think if you don't continually, look back into what you started your mission on for, then you can definitely gear. But for you guys, this is a question I've always wondered. You guys grew up professionally playing ball. Is that like the most incredible like path anyone can ever dream about, like playing a sport that you love? Like we drove 2 hours to go play ball the other day.
We did,
like, because we love it so much. But is that something that, like, if you guys could do it for the rest of your life, let's say your body is ageless, you could do it for the rest of your life, is that something you guys would do?
We actually, it's interesting. That's an interesting question. It depends, like, if you're doing it on your terms or not. Because I had a year left on my contract when I retired, and I was still making pretty decent money for Korea. And then Eric definitely could have played more in the pro league, and we were just like, we don't want to play under these circumstances, but we still want to. Basketball is life. Ball is life.
Ball is life.
But yeah, I mean, I think me and Eric are a little bit different about this. We still play. Obviously, we still play at a high level. Eric represents the Korean national team for 3-on-3, and we play. Before COVID, we were running around the world playing in international world tour events for FIBA.
So 3v3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
3x3.
3x3.
Oh.
Yeah.
My bad. Americano.
But yeah, I don't know. I think COVID's really shaken that up too, because for the last 6 months we haven't even been able to train.
But let's say, for example, Kyrie Irving, right? Like right now, I can't understand a guy, right? Like he's on an elite team and he just decides to kind of take his little, break away from ball. I'm just curious.
He's doing a vision quest, man. I get it.
I think it's a tough thing. I remember in the NFL, I think players leaving early and retiring early has been more common than in basketball. Like you don't see a lot of basketball players that are like, you know what? I think I'm just going to walk away. And they always come back, right? Like Jordan, whoever, right? A lot of football players are like, why is it up to you to tell me when I should retire? When I've had enough, I had enough. Like I've gotten out of the game what I needed. Now I'm good and I'm going to go do something else. And people are like, oh, you had 10 more years. You could have won Super Bowls. You could have done whatever. And then people they chastise these people for a decision that they're making for whatever they want to do. The athletes, unfortunately, they're on this stage where millions of people look at them and if I was you, I'd do this. Where average people do this. Just not average people, just people in general make decisions like this all the time.
Quit their jobs all the time.
Right.
And so I think Kyrie, I hope it's nothing serious. I hope it's not, I hope that he's okay. I hope there's, nothing, because no one really knows. There's literally no one knows what's going on with him.
So what's the mindset? Because, even for me, I grew up playing ball and I could never make it, professionally, right?
Don't sell yourself short.
I saw the jump
Never
shot.
too
You got a nice
late.
little jump shot,
Hey,
though.
listen, if I could rejigger my birth certificate and, and get known by scouts at some point, maybe I had a chance. But no, seriously though, if I could dream of like growing up and playing ball professionally, right? And, I mean, you guys were probably the same way. Like in high school, like before practice, I'd be dribbling before practice, right?
Yeah.
I'm not studying before studying. Like if I'm gonna go study, it's just because I've got just the amount of time to study to like intake something, right? So to be able to play something that you really enjoy, you love, you've got camaraderie of teammates, you've got competition. What is the other side of the equation that someone may not be thinking about to say, this is amazing, this is awesome, but this is work? And we treat it like work, and this is a profession, and it may not be all rosy.
Anytime you say put professional in front of anything, it's a job.
Yeah.
So like just the obligations, the responsibility. It's not just like, I love basketball. I go down to LA Fitness whenever I want. It's not whenever you want. You got to do it like on a rigorous schedule, regardless of what's going on in your personal life, your family.
So there's a grind.
There is a grind, and I think it's also the politics, right? How many people like in high school, they're like, oh, it's all politics, and like, it's not really in high school, but I mean, when you can compare it to pro and college and stuff. And so I think, all those political things too, whether you might not get along with a coach or a GM or, the owner of the team, I think there's a lot of stuff we probably don't know that's factoring into his decision.
Yeah, I think it's like, if I look back and say, you know what, I loved every single day of it, like that would be a lie. I can't say that I loved every day of being a professional athlete. I loved the games.
Yeah, the game.
Like every game, like I loved every game I played in. But I did not love every practice. I did not like waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I did not like waking up at 5 in the morning. I did not like practicing at 10 after I already had 3 practices that day. I didn't like living in a dormitory. I didn't like running in mountains. I didn't like getting yelled at by people I couldn't understand. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you go through as an athlete that, this is part of the job.
I think you just killed the foreigners coming in to play ball in the KBL for.
No, I mean, this was in Europe. I had Serbian coaches, I had Greek coaches, and that were just yelling at me and saying stuff, and I'm just like, you want to fight. You're like, you have all these because you're human.
Yeah.
But no matter what job you go into, like my brother said, if you put professional in front of it, it's a job, and you go in there and you have to do what you have to do to get the job done, even if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Because people see the games like, oh man, I killed to play pro sports.
Yeah.
You wouldn't kill to practice to become a professional athlete, but you would kill to play in the game.
Yeah.
Just like if you're an actor or a banker, like you'd kill to live in that mansion. But do you want to stay up all night, like trading and doing all the stuff that it becomes to get the license?
Right.
Or to be an actor? Yeah, I'd love to like win the Oscar and date the famous model.
Yeah.
But do you want to starve and like wait tables for 10 years and be broke living on your friend's couch? No.
No, for sure. That's why I have so much respect for anyone that's made it, especially in acting, because that's such a social ladder. But yet, you gotta kind of, as a dude, you gotta let your skills kind of shine a lot more, right? You can't. Well, now with the Me Too movement, you can't really do other ways to climb the ladder. But I definitely see that.
Yeah, I think like. Me and my brother talk about this a lot. Like, I think patience is a huge thing. Like, do you have the patience to wait for your time? Like, I mean, I grew up like in Seattle. Like, we grew up with basketball players that were far better than us. We had longer professional careers than them, and to this day, I can't tell you why. The only thing I can think of is that like we got lucky.
We found a niche opportunity,
and we were patient.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was times when me and my brother were both broke. Like I tried to become a fireman because I was like, I guess basketball is not going to pay the bills. My brother worked in a bank. We looked at other stuff, and then on the side we're like, kind of keep the dream alive a little bit, and then end up working out for us. But literally, it works out for less than it does for the people that did I say that wrong?
You said it wrong. I don't know what you were trying to say, but I think I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
it's a small percentage that find success.
Right. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we grew up with all these guys that were amazing ballers, and I'm like, yo, how come you're not playing somewhere?
Even guys that like from Seattle, like we know a lot of guys that played 1 or 2 years in the NBA and then maybe played a couple years overseas and then played in the D League and bounced around and stuff. And it's amazing because way more talented guys. But we ended up having longer, more prosperous careers. And and a lot of those guys, it's just hard. It's hard to be successful at sports and retire with anything in your bank account.
Well, I'm sure you like met people too, like that you worked with that were like amazing lawyers or amazing bankers, and then they all of a sudden want to do something else, and you're like, that doesn't even make any sense. You're killing the game. You're like this amazing lawyer, like, or like you just close this huge deal. Like, why would you stop now?
Right.
I think Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's levels to this, right? Because like to become a professional athlete, you have to obviously be born with certain, physical
It helps.
characteristics, right?
Helps.
But your work ethic has to also be there. And there are things like, for example, if anyone wanted to be a banker, there's no physical limitation to be a banker, right? There's physical limitations to becoming a professional athlete, especially in a high contact, very athletic sport, right? Yeah, okay, archery is a sport, but you might not need all the physical acumen that you do need in football, for example, MMA or like basketball, right? So I think maybe that's sort of the differentiator.
But even like say like let's take like the world of bankers, right? There's however many millions of bankers in the world, right? And then there's probably like a top tier of like maybe say like 2 to 5% that are fucking awesome. Those guys.
You're talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
I'm like, if you take the top tier bankers, right, in every country around the world, they've never met each other, but I bet you they have something in common. And then the average banker, that's just a teller or whatever he is, I bet you they also have something in common.
Yeah.
So even if it's not, say, physical, like, all the best bankers in the world are over 6'5".
Yeah.
They probably have something in their routine, in their mental makeup, or their discipline that makes them, like, if you want to be great, like, that's something else.
What's interesting too these days is all this data collection is actually, and it's really illegal to be utilizing some of the data to analyze someone's potential, but they have all these data points on corporate employees, especially for high performing positions, and they can really determine whether this person is qualified or highly likely has a higher likelihood to be in executive management or to be.
Why don't they do that for president?
Yeah, right.
There was a virus that entered the system.
Let me ask you this though. Eric was talking about traits. So, for instance, just basketball. What I think about is the game's changed a lot. So, what would have made you in Korean basketball? How we're falling behind where we were once dominant. Do these traits change over time? Because obviously, when we were growing up, study hard, work hard. Yeah. These kind of like old Korean Confucianist traits were huge to success. And if you worked harder than everybody, you're probably more successful than everybody. Nowadays, it seems like everybody works hard, and now it's the more creative you are, the more yo-yo, the more peace, the more flexible you can adjust, adapt. Like Eric was talking about, Dwayne Wade said his greatest trait was not his physical, his mental. It was just his ability to adapt to all the different ways the game's changed. And, do you think those traits, the tried and true method of work hard, study hard, get into a good school, get the good degree and do all that kind of stuff, is that still just the gold standard? Or is there new skills that need to happen nowadays?
That's a loaded question, especially with like sky
very
high,
loaded,
like student.
Because I obviously have my opinion.
Well, there's some basic fundamental roots, right, that you want. You want to teach everyone, hey, working hard, right, and critical thinking, right? And there's some aspects that at the base level, successful people kind of have these things. Like Stephen Covey has written 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, but there's a number of books, and when you look at the history of like philosophy or religious things, there's a lot of repeating themes, right? And it's not always be the smartest. It's a lot of it has to do like be giving, be joyful, have gratitude, all of these things. But when I look at today, in maybe we could talk about basketball and real estate, but like in basketball, adaptability is really important. The game's changed, the rules change, the way that recruiting happens has changed, right? The way that the international markets have changed, right? You guys obviously are pioneers in that, being able to come out to Korea and really relish, or in Europe, and to relish those opportunities. Not everyone is doing that. They're maybe just in their bubble, in their local community. Real estate is the same thing. Over the past few years, in the last decade, we've had so many platforms come up, Airbnb, Vacasa, VRBO, so many different platforms that now, if your real estate, property is not working for its purpose in that location, maybe there's another repurposing that can happen. Right now, hotels, a lot of them are struggling, but they're changing their model to multifamily now. And so it's about adaptability. There's this company called Zeus that does corporate they were like for corporate housing, furnished corporate housing, and Airbnb was an investor. And after COVID, it's just all business travel is just shut down, especially internationally. So they had to adapt, and now they're adapting more to, vacation rentals in these locations where people want to be. So it's I think it's all about being able to kind of sense the times and be willing to take those risks, right? Because even like Bitcoin, I remember when my friends were investing in it, in the early days, and now they're just worth, bazillions of dollars. But it was a big risk, but they had a thesis and they went and they took that risk. And if it didn't work out, it could be painful. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they studied it enough to believe that there's a thesis behind this that we can really believe in, and we kind of see it. And I think it's the same way. I mean, I even for example, Airbnb, before Airbnb, there was a popular site called Couchsurfing, right? And it was free, right? You just basically meet people online that are willing to share a couch, literally, right? Or just, meet you in town. And then Airbnb was like, hey, we can monetize.
You get there and you're like, oh wait, I didn't know you would be sleeping on the couch with me.
I didn't know you'd be watching me the whole time. Yeah, I know. It could get odd. Creepy, but even Uber. Oh yeah, let's have an awesome idea of having strangers ride in the back of your car, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, all of these things. I mean, maybe there's an app for hitchhiking now. All of these things that came on is are you willing to, take the risk, right? Because you believe that this is a new.
So to land this plane, if we're talking about old school values, like work hard and all that kind of stuff, good degree and then get a job in the corporate world, versus today, you're saying more. Are you saying having a greater tolerance for risk, or?
Yeah, I think critical thinking is really important.
I think it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of sounds like what you're talking about is the tried and true method. I don't think they'll ever go away, right?
Yeah.
But it's changing to some extent.
Right.
If you go to school and you get a bachelor's degree, you'll be able to find a job somewhere.
But how many of us went to college and at least for the first couple of years or so, just literally was lost? And we didn't really know, okay, what am I going to do with this degree or this major? Because they make you choose a major, right?
For me, I had to pick something that's not something that I wanted to do. Yeah. It was well, I guess my junior year I got to pick.
Right. So or even the college that you went to, right?
We went to the college, we picked because of basketball.
Right.
So we were probably it was these places were recruiting us. We're okay, I have a good chance to make it pro or to play or to have a good career. And it's a good school, so I'll get a good education. So I think maybe our college choosing criteria was maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, even if you weren't going to be an athlete or student athlete, right? You've got the options in front of you, and you select which colleges you're going to apply to, right?
Absolutely.
And so you go through the same kind of selection process, right? But what I'm saying is at that age, how much do you know?
You don't know shit,
right? And even me, literally, the college I applied to is because they sent a magnet to my house, and I don't know, for some reason the magnet got on our refrigerator. And I ended up going to that college. So
where'd you go to school?
They've been killing it with that magnet.
There's too much personal questions going on.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna get that magnet.
Yeah.
Was it this one?
Crazy. I always thought college, for example, right? Okay. The degree.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No. The degree may not be as important anymore, but the pursuit of education and really, working hard towards an education. I think
you can learn it all on YouTube. Just disclaimer.
Oh my God,
disclaimer. You can learn it all on YouTube.
Yeah. But you know what's funny is when McGinnis and I talked about this, is these days you can learn how to hammer. You guys pretty much renovated your own investment property out in Seattle, right? Through YouTube View, right?
And those guys at Home Depot know everything.
Oh, dude, they know everything.
I hope they're making good money. The guys that drive the forklifts.
Yeah.
Because they know everything. I just thought dude, if I worked at the Gap, I wouldn't know where the cotton came from. They know you're doing this kind of tile work, you're gonna want this kind of grout.
Yeah.
There must be
it's everyone there. They must either have worked in the field or they're not just hiring a bunch of dumb people.
They must have an extensive training course, or they're just hiring people that were contractors. And
I'm always looking for that older white dude with glasses. He knows where every screw is, where every nail is.
Racial profiling.
Absolutely, 100%. So he's probably profiling me. That guy probably doesn't know anything.
So now we're at the point in the podcast where we have our little event. What did you have? What do we got on deck today? We like to break it up.
How many push-ups?
Go.
You want to do the physical challenge?
Physical challenge. Well, this is the thing. We had a couple different things. We usually break it up here, and a lot of our friends are interested in, especially from for Kyopos, right? Growing up Korean in the States and coming here, like biggest differences and like things that you prefer or these type of things is what you know, because a lot of people are coming here and they're like, oh shit, I got Koreatown in Dallas, or LA or whatever, and like obviously the K-town in LA is the most famous K-town.
Yeah.
But let's like talk about like just basically like.
Are you talking about Korea versus LA?
Basically,
the Korea versus LA challenge, and these are not subjective.
No,
there's a right or a wrong answer.
This is pretty easy,
and you'll be judged.
Oh, it's easy.
I'll say I'll try to think of three things. The first one, I'll say crime. All right, especially like feeling safe. Right, is that like even if it's late at night or even if it's like any neighborhood, around Seoul or whatnot, we don't feel threatened ever. Right, like we think.
Okay, but hold on. I don't want to do this. But this is not how the game is structured.
Oh, my bad.
We give you the subjects. You answer the question.
My bad.
Eric's just looking at you like, what is this guy doing? He's hijacking our.
Welcome to my podcast, guys. Listen, I want you sitting over there.
Yo,
all right.
I need we got hijacked on our game.
Wait, so what am I supposed to answer? Like, how am I supposed to answer?
If you let us, Danny, God damn it.
It was good knowing you guys. Thank you.
And that's so you had like a list of things that you were gonna ask. It's kind of like a speed round.
Got it.
And,
okay, got it.
And so Eric asked you the question.
I obviously lack critical thinking.
You say Korea or LA, and then I tell you if you're correct or incorrect.
Oh, perfect.
Okay?
Perfect.
You ready?
That's kind of be the first question.
All right, let's go. Korean barbecue.
LA.
Incorrect.
Who's the judge here?
No, it's just we've done an
the judge jury.
We've done an extensive survey. So
which is better?
We've polled all 13 members of our audience.
Right.
And many of them have never been to LA.
Let's get some comments.
No.
Right?
Okay, yeah, let's get some comments on this. But the quality of meat is better in Korea, and that's the criteria we go on.
Really?
Yeah.
And how do you judge that?
Well, you judge it by price, and then price.
I would say,
no, I'm just
yeah. Price is so much more expensive out here, right?
Anyways, this isn't a negotiation.
Oh, my bad.
You're wrong. This
is the last time you're gonna see me on this podcast. Thank you.
Hey, what do we got next?
Please take the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Korean beer. Is it better here or is it better in LA? No, I'm sorry, just beer.
Just beer.
Yeah.
I was like, wait.
Oh, LA.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Maybe I have a chance.
Wait, are you talking about macros or micros?
Both.
Okay.
And wide range of availability.
And of course, I'm giving you that, but I will say the Korean microbrew industry is coming up.
It's coming up.
Would you say that it's
Seattle boys would know of all people.
Leaps and bounds.
I'd agree.
We're catching up.
Really? We gotta check one out then.
Koreans are quick at catching up, by the way.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They're really good. They're good at copying.
Yeah.
All right, this is kind of a tough one because of COVID, so it's not like like drinking culture.
Okay.
It's tough because like it's COVID and we can't stay up past 9. But
for sure, Korea.
Correct. That's good. I would thought that an LA person would like that whole like going to the circle and all that kind of stuff.
No way.
Circle still around?
No, that's New York.
I just think the criteria here is that you can just do it longer. I mean, aside from all the other things that everyone can argue about.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they have guys that drive your car for you. It's open till 6. You can just do it all night.
And I'll say one other maybe like lesser thought about point is price, and not price as in the price differential on vodka and whiskey, but for the most part, people here will drink soju and beer. And just accept that as a really good night out. Whereas in America, I mean, for some odd reason, we got to go choose that whiskey bar that charges like $80 a shot, and we got to go pose and position ourselves.
No, we have that here too.
We have that here.
No, but it's not it's not as like.
And I will say this, so like, what to your point is that if you want to drink like an average night out, like and have a great night with poljang matcha, soju, and beer. it's way cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are doing those whiskey bars, it's way more expensive to go to the speakeasy out
100%.
here.
Yeah.
So like, why even do it out here?
Well, thank goodness, because it's all about the ladies. The ladies aren't asking for that,
It's
right?
all about the ladies. It is all about the ladies.
Which brings me to the next question.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Girls. Korea or LA?
All right, I'm gonna lead with this and say that question has been the most disappointing part of this trip, which is every freaking person wears a mask. So
don't even. You've been to Korea before.
No. And we're in winter. So literally, like, we might as well be in a Muslim country right now because they are covered up like head to toe and you can't see anything, right?
True.
And indoors, out there, and we can't go anywhere indoors. And even when you're indoors, you got to keep the mask on.
Okay, but we're not talking about this trip. You've been here before COVID.
On an absolute basis.
Just stop trying to dodge the question.
I'll say LA. Oh,
Wrong.
oh,
That's wrong.
oh.
That's a wrong
That's
answer.
a wrong answer.
By the way, you can't get variety out here, so I'm not sure who's answering this
so you're-
question.
Oh, no.
But we're talking about
Just Koreans?
Koreans.
Oh, well, okay. How do you compare, 50
I
million
guess
versus
that is
like
a hard
1
question.
Like,
I guess if variety is your
Spice of life.
if that's what you're going for,
yeah.
that's a tough one because there was a right or wrong answer. But if you are going outside the bounds, you would have to be right. But
I guess I'll just hijack this podcast now.
gosh, Hey, what do you think about that? Are we going to allow it? Let's go to the judges. It's tough.
I think we're going to have to disallow that one and say it's a wrong answer.
We're gonna still keep with it. You're still wrong. You're still wrong.
I'm batting like 30% right now.
And another thing was like, first of all, you got to go population. Plus, you got to go how many plastic surgery places are on every corner. So like, if it's broke, it's fixed. But it's already
talk
been
about
fixed.
plastic surgery. That's another point. Is that here, literally, like I think they say Brazil might be like the
I think
plastic
they are
surgery
number
capital of the
one,
world, right? But
they're not
here-
doing as extensive work.
Well, that's the thing.
Are they?
They've gotten so good now. Literally, it's like, you know how like before you could tell when the girl gets like the eyelid surgery?
Oh,
like
you
the
can't even tell,
You
man.
can't even tell. But even if you could tell, it's almost like the one that's been done is like the more accepted one now.
No. I was talking to somebody about this. Before, it was all about trying to look natural, but it's like having a Louis Vuitton bag that doesn't say Louis Vuitton on it.
Yeah.
Then nobody says anything. It's almost like they want to do it slightly like a little bit outrageous. Like you wanted bigger eyes. Now they're making them like saucer eyes. Like
I
just
remember
so that you know, it's like, hey,
That reminds me
I'm
of
luxury.
we were down in Dominican Republic on one of our many foreign escapades, and we were in Cabarete.
ooh,
And then
shout out to our Dominican listener.
And we met a DJ down there, right? And he had like the hottest chick, right? And we were like, yo, like you're down here, man, all these beautiful girls, man. Like, isn't the girl kind of plastic? He's like, no. He's like, she's perfect. He's like, because she wasn't perfect before she had surgery, and then now surgery has made her perfect.
What amazing wisdom.
And like I remember at that time I was like, what do you mean, man? I was like, perfect now.
I think we were drunk and we were like, Christian, you're so wise.
But now it makes sense. All right, last question on our Korea versus LA like round here. Because I've noticed, you're a pretty like fashionable guy. You got good like sense, good style.
I don't know. He was kind of shitting on my fashion earlier.
really?
So what does that say?
And by the way,
retract
I'm
my
living the life of minimalism out here. I literally brought like 2 jackets, 2 pair of pants.
do wear the
and, like,
same thing
2
every time I've
shirts.
seen you.
That's all I bought. That's all.
I'm surprised you
As long
haven't
as you're showering.
because he brought like you didn't bring a warm jacket. And I'm surprised you haven't bought one, which is,
I'm trying my best to be minimalist.
but either way, fashion, LA or Korea.
Oh, that's a tough one.
You ready with the buzzer?
Yeah.
Because he's definitely gonna.
That's a tough one. You know what? I will give that one to Korea.
Yes, that is correct.
That's the correct
That is
answer.
Can I
correct.
just get the buzzer anyway?
That is correct.
I mean,
because
why
we
really
have to go law of average. We have to go like law of averages. Korean people are well put together, well dressed, even if they all do wear pretty much the same trends and
Yeah.
they follow. LA, I'd say we have more individualism, but it's there's people that, just sloppy sweats and in barbecue stain and slippers.
Right.
There's a lot of those.
Momcore, normcore.
Yeah. You won't see those guys walking around the mall.
No.
So
No. They're
Because
definitely better put together.
in America, it's almost like you'll walk around, you'll see in LA, you'll see like people that are really well put together,
Right.
and everything, and then right next to that person, you'll see a guy that is probably on the same financial, echelon. They live in the same neighborhood, but the guy wears, he's got
Looks
pizza
like a
stains.
kludgy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like people in Korea, everyone is very aware of how they look and how they present themselves. So the people are always like well put together.
There's no moo-moos in Korea for sure.
But the one thing though is you won't see like a lot of individualistic style out here.
No.
Which you will see a lot in LA. People, if you're a skater, you're like or whatever, you're punk or you're whatever, even goth or
Right. Whatever.
But here, it's just I feel like it's manners. Like you don't want to look just like unkempt when you walk out of the house.
So for your fashion brand, Prism,
Yes. Yes.
what's the target audience that you guys are going after?
Well, initially when we started our brand, we were thinking more of like just like athletic people, like more of like an athleisure type thing where you could have something comfortable to wear. You could go train in it, or you could just wear it around. So probably
like a Nike, Lululemon type, segment?
yeah, like I mean honestly, it's across the board. It'd be for like people probably between like their like late teens to early 50s.
Kind of like what we were thinking is like because it also ties in with a lot of the stuff that we do with our team that we go out and represent and play in a lot of tournaments, and we just at first we just wanted our team to look dope when we walked in the tournaments because it's just cool because like you got teams from all around the world,
right,
and they're all sponsored, and
we just wanted to look
we just wanted to look cooler than them, especially when you go to Japan. Those Japan guys, they always got the coolest sneakers, they got all that. And it's hard for us to shop in Korea. And then now it's more like kind of like our, I don't want to say fear of God and put us in that thing, but like the essentials where it's just stuff you can just feel comfortable in, but still cool, not,
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like it's kind of like that. When we first started, we weren't even thinking about selling it.
Yeah.
We were just like, we just want to look dope. We want our instructors, our teammates, like us, just to look fresh when we're going to tournaments or when we're, doing camps or coaching kids. And then, people started kind of seeing it and we're like, yo, it's kind of dope, man. What's up with the
kids
here?
want the merch now.
Yeah.
So you guys like up in the sales stack with Big Baller Brand right now?
I mean, we don't even, to be honest, we don't even sell it. We just outfit our team because we have a team of instructors. We got a team of our players, our hubes that play with us in these tournaments. And, but through a lot of our basketball camps and a lot of the kids are like, where do I get the socks? Where do I get this? Where do I get that? And stuff.
Danny, it's like this. I hate to say it, but depending on how many views we get on this podcast, we might be able to send you like a tracksuit.
Listen,
so
I can represent.
So I mean,
I can represent.
I don't want to say the pressure's on.
Here's what we do: we give him one sock up front,
right?
One sock, and we give him the other sock just depending on
the performance. Listen, that's gonna double my sock count here that I have in my wardrobe out here. So I'll take it.
All right.
Well, I want to ask you guys about your basketball program. So, did you guys transition directly from pros to starting that program?
No.
Yes, it was a very slow transition.
I guess you could say it was like super slow.
About 3 years.
How did that come about?
No, so honestly, we retired, right? And we're like, man, fuck basketball.
Now let's live our dreams.
I don't want to have shit. Like, I don't want, like, we lived in a dormitory for fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
People yelling at you. I'm done. I don't want to fucking see a basketball. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to coach. So my brother went to fucking South America. The land that
did some ayahuasca and
where were you? You were born in Mexico?
No, Paraguay.
And they smuggled you over to Rio Grande?
No. We're swimmers. We're a swimmer family.
Yeah, so like my brother went. He went on a year-long like walkabout,
vision quest.
I went here and I went to Yonsei to learn Korean. And then after that, we kind of started like doing some tournaments, kind of doing some other projects, and kind of seeing maybe this is what we want to get into. We dabbled here and there, and then last year we kind of went full steam ahead and started going into like some of the foreign schools, the international schools here, and then doing more camps, and then kind of like starting the program to help kids.
How are the kids here versus like the kids back at home in terms of like their intensity level and their like vision to become pros?
It's a different thing out here. Like in the States, like wherever you go, public school, private school, wherever, the kids can have an idea that they want to go to college or become a pro, and that's a achievable dream. Out here, like it's two different like ways. You're either amateur, or you're elite. So it's kind of a different thing. Like the elite kids are like on that path track already. They're going to this high school, this college, and they're on the track to become pros.
Got it.
The amateur kids are going a different route where they enjoy basketball, but it's not going to take away from the studies.
And is that the crowd that you guys are working with mostly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
I feel like the elite kids too. It's such a different niche, and they're controlled. For instance, Eric was going to train one of the centers. and then his coach said no. He's like, I only want you to know what I teach you. I don't want you learning that American stuff. And then, possibly, it's like back in the day when Yao Ming had that argument, and then they were like, you have to do the Chinese system. And he was just like, he kind of like spoke out against the team, and then they all came down on him. And so it's a lot more freedom, and it's a lot more fun to work with like the amateur kids at this level.
Because it's like, honestly, like when we started our company, our idea was like, the reason that we started playing basketball and the reason that I'm still playing was the experience that we had in pro is it became your job. Like most jobs, that's the way you earn your money. It's the way how you put food on the table. It's how you support yourself. And then when something you love becomes a job, all of a sudden, like the desire, the love, like the feelings that you had when you started become different. And so we needed to kind of step away from basketball because at the end, we weren't like, man, I love this game, man. This is awesome, man. Like even the games, we weren't playing that much. It was just kind of like, I think I'm ready to move on to something else.
There was the politics you guys were talking about too. Right?
Yeah, I mean, and we were old, and to be honest, like my last year, like I don't know what I could have done to help the team. Honestly, like the guys that were ahead of me, like they were better than me. So I mean, it wasn't a bad decision to play them. You
guys could have outfit the team at least.
Could have, right? But they didn't fucking ask, bastards.
Yeah.
So like we made that transition into this, and then we're thinking like, you know what, like I started like playing in like the Tawadi stuff, the amateur leagues and all this kind of stuff. And like, I saw these guys and how much fun they were having. And I was like, that reminded me of me and my brothers going to the park and playing and just having fun.
What's the Tawadi league?
It's like the amateur leagues out here.
Like, it's like a club. They call it Tawadi, like a circle. They'll like translate in English and they'll be like, yeah, my basketball circle or my this.
Yeah. Like in Japan, the same thing.
It's a club though, yeah.
Yeah, so like these little clubs are, there's way more people that play club basketball than play pro basketball. And so we went to this tournament. It was massive. I was fucking shocked. There was like thousands of people out of this tournament. And I was like, yo, this is kind of dope, And they started playing 3x3 and it was a similar thing. And I was like, yo, this is fun. It's fun again,
Yeah.
And then from that, we were kind of thinking like, man, like if we can put that idea into kids and like say, look, if you become pro, it doesn't matter. Like sports can teach you something that classroom can't. You can learn sportsmanship, teamwork. You can learn pressure, how to deal with pressure, how to like set goals, how to achieve goals, and like all these essential things for life that you learn without having to teach. Like today, we're gonna learn about perseverance.
Right.
You guys got your notepads ready. Right. You just learn it. And so we kind of had that idea, and then that's kind of how our programs like started.
Yeah, that's dope. And I know it's hard because like in LA, I've worked with my friends on trying to help their business for the indoor futsal league, right? And to try to run programs, and you got to run a clean ship. I mean, for all the kids to enjoy it, you got to make sure that the program is running.
Hard. There's a lot to it. Yeah,
there's so much.
It's not just showing up,
and you got to manage the parents.
No.
It's a whole thing. It's difficult,
right?
I mean,
so big props to you guys for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, because like you're saying, you've done stuff in LA with the futsal leagues. It's the reward is great because you see these kids that if you weren't doing something like this, like who would be teaching them? Would they have this platform to go out there and do what they want to do? And like we had these opportunities when we were younger.
Right.
We didn't know the guy that set up our YMCA league.
Right.
Right. But I thank you because if he wouldn't have set up that league for when we had whatever ugly uniform we were wearing. We wouldn't be here talking about this and trying to do it for the next generation.
And we could probably say those were like the most formidable, like developmental.
Yeah.
Like,
man, those old games, those YMCA games were so lit, man.
Yeah.
You just you wait all week.
Oh yeah.
To go. I mean,
you guys probably played indoors. I was when I first came to America. We were in New York. We were playing outdoors in like every kind of weather. Yeah. Every kind of like.
No. We played outdoors in Seattle, and it rains 9 months out of the year. So we were out there. I don't think a lot of Korean parents would like that, just playing in the rain, No,
I remember when we first came out here, like you'd see people walking around with umbrellas. And they're like, well, you came from Seattle, you guys don't have umbrellas? I'm like, I don't think we ever owned an umbrella.
Yeah, we never used them in Seattle.
No one was worried about the rain, and everyone had like, oh, don't let the rain hit your head.
It was shower time, right?
Yeah, I was like,
man, that makes us stronger, man.
It was different for sure.
Yeah.
But
that's dope.
Now, sports is like a really important thing. I think that you can attest to that too. It's like, just the other day we drove 2 hours in the snowstorm to just go play.
That was crazy.
And it's like, it's been an important part of our life for a long point in time. And I think anyone that loves a sport, whatever sport it is, like you should play it as long as you can.
100%.
Because it's fun. The value that it gives you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch gears just a little bit. We got a little bit of time left.
No switching gears.
Actually, I wanted like this to be half of our podcast.
So we got 3 hours left. All right, let's switch gears.
We got 30
right
seconds.
now.
So now I want to switch to our master class portion. So
Where's the master?
So you're our master.
It's your podcast,
I
right?
can share my opinion.
You're the master expert. So I think what we're talking about being pro, and I worked briefly in finance, and obviously I didn't like that job, and I'm not doing it anymore. But as an amateur, I love my E-Trade account. I make a little money. I'm like,
There you go.
We made a couple grand.
Damn. Baller.
So when the pandemic hit, and everything, and then I think a lot of people are looking for opportunities because anytime there's a crisis, there's always opportunities, and you see the market is doing good, Bitcoin's doing good. Yeah. There's sections of the real estate market that are doing good.
Right.
So I mean, what happened when this thing hit? Where you're like, bing, 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 let's look for something. What were the red flags going up?
Well, actually, my partner and I, we were in 2 deals. We were in process of closing on 2 deals, and this was in February where we entered into contract on the first one.
These are like commercial real estate deals.
Yeah, apartment buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, boom, March comes around, and March is around the time when it really gets serious in LA, where we're really shutting down and whatnot, and all the other states are starting to feel the impact. And we had to go back to the sellers and say, I don't know if we can, move forward with this deal.
And what were they saying?
Well, they were concerned as well. Everyone was concerned in March, right?
Of course.
For them, we were buying a property where they were actually, somewhat like cash flow negative. So they were bleeding every month, and it's workforce housing. It's lower rents. So, you've got to deal with that sort of tenant class, and plus, people were worried about that tenant class keeping their jobs, right? Restaurant workers, hotel.
Well, didn't
employees.
they get off the hook where they didn't have to pay rent for a while?
Depends on the state,
and
depends on the city
eviction.
that
That's
in.
what happened to us in Seattle.
Yeah. So, all of that situation is still kind of murky, right? Because we're still extending eviction moratoriums, et cetera. But at that point in time, we were trying to analyze everything soup to nuts, like A to Z, like what happens if this happens? What are we gonna do if this happens? So eventually what we ended up doing was we ended up moving forward with the transaction because we did get a little bit of a discount.
Look at the balls on Danny.
Like a COVID discount. But in our minds, we were thinking in every moment in time, there's always going to be risk. And it really depends on how you can box that risk and say, okay, within a, let's say, a range, right, of what can go down, what we call base case and best case, can we manage? So even if we get to a base case in our business plan, are we able to sustain this for a certain number of years? And we felt comfortable we could, and that's why we moved forward with it. Once we did that, then the second transaction, we're thinking, you know what? Let's go for the stars.
Just roll it,
just
man.
keep rolling keep rolling it.
Get rich or die trying.
We're gonna die trying. This is our life. So we ended up doing it, and over the past year, we just basically operated, like every day, just making sure that things are going well. And right now, both are on the market, and we're pretty much going to do an amazing return on them. So
wow.
Throughout that time, you got to just weigh the odds every single day. There's risk, and our motto is that great deals are not found, they're created. So we're like, we got to make deals happen. And we sort of talked about this as well, because, in America, the beautiful thing about real estate is that there's so much leverage you can get, right? And if someone's willing to give you, $4 out of $5 for your investment, why not go for it, right? And so it's like the leveraged returns are something that I don't think you get in a lot of other countries out there.
Oh, you definitely don't get that in Korea.
So me and my brother kind of talking about this on the way over, and we're like, is real estate a side hustle? Because now, like, when people are kind of like looking at this stuff, like everyone wants to get into real estate. Yeah, I'm getting my real estate license. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. People want to get in, right? But they don't know how. So they're looking on the internet, looking at YouTube, and be like, oh, like my buddy, this YouTuber or this Instagram person did this, so I'll do the same thing.
Right.
If they're gonna think of real estate as a side hustle, how would you suggest people get into real estate?
So similar thing happened, I think, in 2009. during the financial crisis, where a lot of people kind of lost their odd and they were looking at different career paths. And real estate is always a little bit of like kind of that de facto, fallback. And the reason is because people are looking at the dollars, right? And say, oh, if I can make, X percentage of the sale of this property, geez, I mean, that one transaction could be 1 month's worth of, income at my current job, right? And so I think they look at it that way, but it's like with anything. It's like saying, oh, I saw Tom Cruise make 20 million on this movie. I think I'm going to get into acting, right? They only see sort of the shiny object, at the end of the tunnel. But real estate itself is a really, really difficult industry in terms of succeeding, right? And you can tell because in 07, 08, during that crash, people thought it was so easy to make money on real estate and they weren't investing or buying things with fundamentals. And same thing with stock market right now. I think, and this is a debatable, discussion. I am no expert in the stock market at all. But,
I'll debate you.
But, there are signals that say, we've printed a lot of money, not just in America, but the ECB, the JCB, like these first world countries have been printing money. And now they've got to place that money somewhere, right? And so you just start seeing these asset bubbles coming up everywhere. And that's why it's really hard for me, even right now, to find a good deal, because all of the assets are being so, immensely propped up with the amount of liquidity in the marketplace. And I think we're masking a lot of fundamental issues that's out there.
Yes.
So for the people that are looking like, COVID hit everyone hard and they're looking for something to do on the side, would you recommend to the average person out there that is now looking for something else to do as a side deal, or perhaps maybe that side deal becomes their main deal later, would you recommend real estate as something they should take a look at?
Over the past few years, I think my mind or sort of my belief has changed more to rather become generalist, become specialist in anything you do. And whether it's you're going to become a doctor, a lawyer, whatnot, I think specialists always kind of do the best. They thrive. And so if you're going to dabble in something, I think it really depends, because it's input in, input out, right? It's how much you put in is what you typically get out, and nothing is like an easy ride. And now if you think about the number of people that are actually out there doing real estate, and you're competing against these private equity funds that were typically in equities, and now they're coming into the single family market and buying up, 1,000, unit portfolios. You've got a much broader competition out there, and you got to really know what you're doing. And that's why I think people are shifting and looking at different ways to monetize, whether it's short-term rentals, medium-term rentals, et cetera, because they're looking at different ways to accelerate their income. But I think you got to really learn the craft. And if you're a quick learner, anyone can do it. It's definitely anyone can do it, but it's just a matter of opportunity cost for the amount of time you're going to invest to learn this thing. You're taking away from learning other things or dedicating yourself to your day job.
You're dedicating also like a lot of your hard-earned cash. Like if you're investing in something, it's really easy to get an E-Trade account and just put whatever excess money you have in the market,
and you can get it out anytime
you can get it out anytime you want. And then if say you have $100,000 of it just saved, right? To do it into real estate, it's a lot. And then it's like what niche am I going for? Am I,
Yeah. And people got to remember too, it's, we talk about leverage. When you lever your investment, well, you also leverage your life. So that's going to have downstream impacts, because now you've got this big mortgage
hanging over your head,
on your credit profile, right? And so let's say you want to go buy a car, you want to get a loan on some education. Well, you've got a big debt load, so you better make sure you've got the debt to income ratio, at that point.
So then maybe for our listeners like this, like because like a lot of people might be thinking like, I'm gonna jump into real estate, dabble here, dabble there. But if they don't want to like do that, and they want to get an E-Trade account, and they can dabble here, because then, like you said, you can put X amount of dollars in and like take it out any time. Where in real estate, a lot of people see the big returns and they're like, oh shit, like my boy, right? And my boy's roommate just made tons of bread on this flip,
right?
And they think that they can do that with $300, right? Or $1,000, whatever they have, right?
Yeah.
So if they're not going this way, in your experience, if you're going to rank the top 5 side hustles out there, for what people like, what you would kind of push people to that aren't looking to jump in and do what you're doing or take an active interest into this?
So side hustle, like they've got their career or they have their primary, occupation and something on the side. I would definitely, encourage people to look into real estate investing, right? Because there are so many resources out there that'll teach you, including like I've got a website called therealworkshop.org, which
you got your own website?
Yeah. And you guys are
how am I just learning about this?
No, it just started, right?
Okay.
So it just launched this year, but I'm journaling our journey in real estate, as well as we also have coaches. We have life and business coaches, and we're kind of putting all of that learning online, all for free. So really to help people in their path, right, in their life path. And so it's all for free. We're not asking for anything, and it's just purely just to help others. And that's kind of a life mission that we have through this vehicle. And I just think like, people can really learn that aspect of it and easily get into what we call passive investing in real estate, where you can buy a property and hire a property manager, have them do everything, right? We compare that with active investing, which is something what you guys are more into right now, right? Which is, you've got amazing properties here in the Beverly Hills of Korea, and you got property out in the US, and you guys are looking at optimizing that. Okay, what's the best, next step that we want to take here, right? And now you guys are becoming active investors where you're going to really, do your management of it on a day-to-day basis. That's a career, in my opinion. And to get really good at it, you got to really focus on it.
So maybe say that website one more time, because if people are looking to get into real estate, this would be a good way for them to jump in, get mentorship, and then get some information, because a lot of people out there, maybe they have inheritance, or they got a windfall of whatever it may be, and they're looking to do something with it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people look at the bank account and they're like, damn, I got some money, I don't know what to do with it.
Right.
And then slowly by slowly they whittle away at it by, whatever, the car note or whatever happens, right? If you have a lump sum, you should probably do something with it before you spend it.
Yeah.
So maybe if you could say that website one more time.
So it's therealworkshop.org. And we're not coming off as we're mentors or we're, gurus. Not at all. This is strictly a journal that we're sharing with people in terms of
what you guys are doing, or your path,
right? And real just stands for real estate and life, right? It's just basically how we've got to this, because both of us are in our 40s now, and we did have those existential questions and sort of where do we want to lead our path, into the next phase of life. Like you guys have Second Wind podcast, and you guys got this one, right? And really journaling your next phase, right? And meeting incredible people along the way, sharing your journey, hearing their stories. So I think that's amazing.
You talking about yourself?
No, I'm talking about you guys. I'm really impressed with what you guys have done and what you guys are doing, and it's incredible. I think maybe people don't realize, to the extent of what other things you guys got going on in your life. And I think it's amazing for you guys to expose it through this podcast, so that people see the incredible things you can do, and hopefully they join your journey as well.
All right,
appreciate it, man. Yeah, well, shit.
Well,
can we get some sounds?
what I really wanted to do was do our second event, but we just kept going and going and kept.
This probably could have been done better over a beer in a conference.
Well, Eric had to feel good. Eric had to feel good.
Yeah, but there was no carbonation left. Come on.
So how much longer are you going to be in Korea?
I leave in a couple weeks.
Okay.
And then I come back in about a month and a half.
I had to have you back, man.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I'm just realizing, and you guys live in the U.S. too, back and forth, right?
Kind of, yeah. Well, before COVID, we were, back and forth doing stuff here in Miami and Hawaii, Seattle and stuff. But
damn, world traveler, and the Dominican Republic.
No. Dominican was that was
pure business.
That was less business
in a previous life.
Yeah, man. No, but if you got time, man, we should definitely have you back on. if you got time, it was very interesting. Obviously, like everyone out here,
we need to have him back on so we can get into what we had in our notes,
right?
Before we started. That's how it always works.
Before I hijacked your podcast,
right?
Yeah. No, this was awesome time. We should definitely dig deeper. Podcast or not, dig deeper into the project you guys got going, and maybe there's something we could do together as well.
Well, definitely. Well, that's been our episode of, I don't even know what episode we're on, but
we're down the road, brother.
We're down the road.
Let's just make this number one.
But we definitely, in the future, would love to have you back so you can hijack our podcast one more time. The amazing Danny Chun.
Danny
you guys.
Chun.
All right, we'll catch you guys next time.